We have to learn to let go and allow life to happen through us without any judgments, without any preconceived notions, just allowing life to be what it is.
We choose between the left and right, the ups and downs, the darkness or the light. We're finding who we are.
There's only one reform in life. When you and I stop living from our heads, you and I are here for one very solid reason, and that is to learn to be loving.
We're finding our way together, just you and me.
Namaste. Welcome. We're going to be looking at one of the most powerful masters who ever lived, Buddha, and the beautiful teachings of the Eightfold Path that we're going to look at right seeing this morning. When you hear the name Buddha, do you picture a statue of a bald, fat man in your favorite Chinese restaurant? Maybe he is laughing, or maybe he is serene. Do you believe his life was fact or fiction? Buddha means the enlightened one. The man we call Buddha was Siddhartha Gautama, and he lived only 500 years before Jesus. Today, Buddha's teachings are the basis for one of the world's greatest religions with more than 180 million followers. Before Siddhartha was born, it is said that his mother, Queen Maya, had an auspicious dream which told her that she would give birth to an extraordinary child. In a garden not far from the capital city, the queen, feeling labor pains, stood under a tree and grasped a branch with her right hand. Legend has it that an infant boy sprang from her side into the waiting hands of the gods. 7 days later, Queen Maya died, leaving little Siddhartha in the care of her sister. As with all members of his noble caste, the young prince was educated in the arts and social graces. He learned how to ride horses and elephants. He learned martial arts and the art of love. In our next program, we will see 4 experiences that changed Siddhartha's life. Welcome to Aspire. I'm so grateful you chose to be with us. We're going to begin a brand new series on the teachings of Gautama Buddha, the Eightfold Path. And believe me, we've all worked very hard to make this possible. This shoot is a very important one, and so is this series on Buddha. You know, there's a new movement going on in our world today. There are many of us who are just not content with the old religion. The old idea of hellfire, damnation, and some place called heaven and hell, we're just not buying it anymore. And now a new teaching begins to spring up. It's not a teaching based on one man versus another man. For instance, one Jesus versus a Buddha. If you look at Buddha and Jesus' teachings, you can compare the two. They intertwine with each other, and they are the same teaching. And I want to help you with that in this series. We're going to be working on the Eightfold Path. The teachings that Buddha gave to us that said if we followed them, we would become enlightened. There are many of us in this world today who are looking at life from a very different point of view. We're not looking at our life as to what we can get and what we can have. We're looking at who we are. We're going to be working with these teachings from the Dhammapada that Buddha offered to us. I want to read you something real quick. This is fascinating to me. This comes out of his teachings in the Dhammapada, and see if this doesn't ring true deep down inside of you. How can a troubled mind understand the way? If a man is disturbed, he will never be filled with knowledge. An untroubled mind, no longer seeking to consider what is right and wrong, what is good and bad. A mind beyond judgment watches and understands. The first teaching that Buddha taught us is something called right seeing. We don't see things very well, do we? We see things the way they appear to be. And the object of life is not to look at things the way they appear to be, but to begin to see things as they are. And when I can see things as they are, I see into the nature of things. What we tend to do is we tend to look at things around the circumference of them. We look at things as they appear to be. We look at people as they appear to be. I looked up the word sight in Webster's dictionary. Interesting. It said to see something from a judgmental point of view. Isn't that interesting? In other words, whatever I see, I'm not really seeing it. I'm seeing it from my judgment, from my experience. When I look at a person, I don't look at the person as to who is really in there. I look around the person. I look at their appearance. I may look at what they appear to be in the form of their characteristics in their face, their body. Maybe I'll judge them on what they say. And immediately, as you've heard, first impressions count. I miss the person. You know what I found out in my life? That the most dangerous thing in life to lose is my ability to have insight. And that's what right seeing is all about, as Buddha taught. First basic teaching, right seeing. The ability to see something as it is and not let it filter through my mind. And I know what you're thinking. You're saying, how can I help from doing this? All of my life I've looked at people and situations and conditions, and I've looked at them as though they are something outside of me. Please remember something. If I look at people or situations outside of me and I judge them according to my analytical mind or my past or my conditions, then I miss them. The deepest way to look at something is with what I call insight. When I look at something, if I look at it from my mind, I will not have insight, I'll have outsight. I will look at things from a humanistic point of view. Usually it's wrong. One of the games I love to play with myself is, as I look at something or I'm trying to understand something and my mind's trying to analyze it, I keep reminding myself, it's not how it appears to be. Don't trust your thoughts, Gregory. Trust your heart. Listen quietly. You see, most of the time we look at things from a judgmental attitude and from our belief system. And people think that they need to improve their belief system or be sharper or keener in their judgment. Not true. Remember what Jesus said, and here's a fantastic insight that will help you understand that Buddha's teachings, Jesus' teachings, they all merge together. Remember what Jesus said constantly to us? Judge not. Why? Because if we didn't judge, we could see. And if I can see into life through insight, then I will be able to understand how things happen. It's the most important thing in life. The greatest miracle in life is not changing water into wine or healing people or walking on water. The simplest, greatest miracle in life is seeing things as they are. The ability to see things just the way they are without any interpretation. And every single one of us, you and me and everyone in the world, has the capacity for insight. All it takes is a little practice. In this program, we're devoting the whole program to something called insight. And if you're ready to take yourself a little deeper, I'm ready to offer to you something a little more profound. We're going to go away for just a moment, and I'll be right back with right seeing. Don't go away. Do you remember the saying, there are none so blind as those who cannot see? It's interesting that every great master had the same thing to say about our insight. Do you remember what Jesus said to his disciples? He got annoyed with them and he said to them, having eyes, do you not see? Having ears, can you not hear? He wasn't talking about the eyes here, he was talking about the inner eye. There are none so blind as those of us who refuse to see things as they are. One of the difficulties we have is with our beliefs. You see, what we try to do is make life fit what we want it to be. We take a belief system that we've created and we think that in our belief system that certain people should act this way and not that way, and everybody who is a good person is over here and everyone who is a bad person is over here. And we build this kind of facade of crazy beliefs. Religion is notorious for this kind of stuff. And then, out of all of that, We go and we create this belief and we look at life from it. And now we have looked at life from good and bad, right and wrong, and we have called it a belief, and we look in life and we never see it for what it is. Jesus is trying to tell us in his teachings, lighten up, judge not, and you'll see things as they are. Buddha's teachings are exactly the same. He's trying to give us something universal. He's saying, if you don't see things as they are, you'll live in illness, you'll live in poverty, you will live in ignorance all of your life. I don't think there is anything that affects us more in a way that hurts us than that of not seeing things as they are. All of my life, I was taught to trust my judgments and to trust the things that I saw from my senses. And I have found out that has been wrong. That has not given me insight. You can acquire many things in life. You can acquire a great deal of knowledge. You can acquire wealth. You can acquire objects and people. But I will say this, those things mean absolutely nothing until you and I acquire the ultimate, which is insight. And insight doesn't come with experience outside of you. Insight comes with having experience inside of you, in trusting your feelings. Insight gives us a perception to be able to perceive things not as our belief system wants us to think it is, not as religion has taught us, or politics, or our education, but to begin to really see things just as they are. That is the miracle in life. Do something interesting with yourself for a week, or just one moment in your day. Look at things as they appear to be, and remind yourself, I'm not seeing them as they are. And then don't trust your beliefs. Don't trust your control issue. You know, most of us look at things the way they are because we want to control them. And if we think we control them, then we think we own them and that we're free, and we're not. We are held in the cage of our belief system. And when that cage is removed, because we've created it, freedom and liberation occur. Buddha's words, and then you will hear this theme all during the programs that we're going to be offering to you on the Eightfold Path. His parting shot to us as he died, he said, be a light unto yourself. Nobody in the history of humanity has ever had such deep love and respect for human nature. What he was saying is have insight into yourself, because within you is the light, is the awareness, is the compassion, is everything that you've longed for and looked for. If you and I will practice right seeing or having insight, we will never, ever, ever be able to be confused or eluded again. We'll never be able to look at a situation and not understand where it came from. We won't live in defensive mental patterns. Have you ever watched how you and I tend to just live in a defensive posture all the time? We take something that we've done, we build a reason around it, and then we try to build a belief around that so we can justify how we see things, how we hear things, how we enact things. That's all what confuses our life and muddles up our thoughts. We'll never be able to have the ultimate truth if we're too busy defending ourselves for the lies that we are living. There is something far deeper in us if we will let ourselves know it, see it, and understand it. It's our heart. You know, the difference between a lie and a truth, as I've said so many times before, is the distance between the eye and the ear. If you look at things with your eyes, you will never see how they are, because the eye is too busy judging, analyzing, and comparing. But if you close your eyes, you will hear the sound of one hand clapping. You will hear the ultimate truth, which is silence. And that is the insight that brings about enlightenment. There are very few people who really grasp these truths. They would rather make them a form of knowledge and a religion than a way of life. In just a moment, I'm going to come back on Aspire. I want to give you some how-tos, some things that you and I can do in our life to actually live the Eightfold Path, because it's one of the most important teachings that the world has ever known. So please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I want to give you some how-tos, as I promised, on the right seeing insight. It's very important. First thing I want to share with you, difficult. If you're going to practice right seeing, the first thing that you must have is the capacity for humiliation. And what I mean by that is simply this. It's humiliating to find out that everything that we have thought has not been how things are. If you're not willing to feel that and to go with that and own up to that, then the rest of the teachings, you might as well just hang them up. Jesus' teachings, Buddha's teachings, Lao Tzu's teachings, it doesn't matter. You see, we come to the path when we see that there's no other way to go. We have to be totally humiliated in the idea that the way we are living and the way we are rationalizing things and the way we are logifying things, making things a religion, isn't working. Now, if I can't admit that, then I might as well forget the whole thing and go back to my old way of life. Buddha's teachings are revolutionary, even in today's world, because they force interchange and movement. Begin to see the people that you like and dislike. You like people because they do the things you want them to. They do the things that you approve of. The people you don't like because they have a different way of doing things. And of course, everyone in the world, such as you and me, we all know what everybody should be doing, don't we? That's why our lives are so perfect. So the whole object here is just baloney. Drop right and wrong, drop good and bad. Remember what Buddha said? A mind no longer seeking to consider what is right and wrong, good and bad. And that's the second step. The older I get, the more I practice the way inside of me, the more I have discovered I know nothing about right and wrong, good and bad. In fact, let me take it even further, a little controversial point. And many of you who are die-hard conservatives are going to have a real hard time with this. I am finding that there is no such thing as right and wrong, good and bad. Those are labels I give to things that I condone or don't condone, those things that I think are pleasurable and those things I think cause displeasure. Things happen. There are starving people in the world. There are people who are killing each other. There are people who are helping each other, the Mother Teresas of the world. There are people who are deluding people in ideas and dreams and fantasies, and there are people who are trying to wake people up. Everybody is where they should be, at the place they need to be, in the moment they're there. I have often wondered, why am I in the place I'm in? Is it good or bad, right or wrong? I don't think it's any of those things, my friends. I just think wherever I am, wherever you are, that's where we need to be for now. Wanting to change where we are is a big mistake. What we need to do is be where we are, see where we are through insight, and then something very magical happens, something very mystical. A miracle occurs. Things change. You cannot change anything until the moment is right in you. And it has nothing to do with the ticks and the clock. It has to do with dropping the idea of what is right and wrong, what is good and bad, letting go of our judgments. Again, Jesus' teachings, merging with Buddha's teachings, judge not. When you and I are no longer considering what is right and wrong, what is good and bad, we become clear. We begin to see things just as they are. We don't begin to fight. And that's the key here, to understand that life is not a struggle. I make it a struggle. You make it a struggle. Everybody makes it a struggle because we're trying to be right. The humiliation of admitting, I only don't know, is the most important thing in life. The third thing, very important, keep life simple. We complicate our life, trying to become something. You don't need to become anything. Be genuine, be authentic the way you are. And when you are genuine and authentic, really feeling the person that you are, the dark side and the light side, they begin to merge into what you really are. You are nothing but love itself. But you and I will never know that unconditional love if we are too busy trying to be right. Rather than be right, be authentic. And in your authenticity, you will find a bliss, a joy, a happiness that you have never known before in your life. The Eightfold Path. We're going to continue on. Buddha's beautiful teachings. They're not Buddhist teachings. They're not Christian teachings. They are simply teachings of liberation, and they're affordable to every single one of us if we are alert and diligent. Thanks for letting me be with you this morning. Namaste. Welcome to the end of our program on our first series in the Eightfold Path of Buddha's teachings, Right Seeing. We're in my home, and I thought that I'd spend some time with you here just in the closing moments of our program. I like to go over the mail here and read some of the things that you write to me, and I get some awfully interesting letters, and I thought I'd share one with you and just say goodbye and kind of wrap up here. First letter says, "Why, as a lifelong Christian, have I never been taught anything about Buddha and his teachings? Why is this such a mystery?" I don't know if it's such a mystery. We have such a funny idea about Buddha. We think that he was some sort of godless person. Christianity is one of those Western religions that kind of says everything has to be their way and they're right and any other religion is wrong. Got to understand something, that Buddha didn't want a religion. He didn't want Buddhists or Buddhism. He wasn't trying to teach that. He'd found the path of liberation, of spiritual insight, and he decided that he would share that with those people who were ready for it. He wasn't interested in making a religion, and by the way, neither was Jesus. These were men who were not seeking to make movements. They were seeking to offer insight, compassion, and love, and the teachings of liberation. So I don't know why in the West we don't honor it. Maybe because it's too gentle. I hear Christians say that Buddha didn't believe in God. Well, that's just not true. He didn't believe in God. He did not believe in God. His whole idea in his teaching was to offer the experience of God and not make God such a intellectual precept and concept. He was teaching a simple, loving pathway. Please remember, I really do enjoy getting your mail and reading your letters with your questions, and I may not be able to get to all of your questions right away, but eventually on the program or eventually through the mail, I'll answer your questions just the best that I can. I want to thank all of you who support this program with your tax-deductible gift, and please remember, without your financial support, we cannot continue. Next week on the Eightfold Path, we're going to be continuing in something called Right Purpose. I want to take this Eightfold Path, this beautiful teaching of Buddha, and offer it to you as a way of life, because it really is a simple way of life and we can incorporate it in our daily living. Thanks for letting me be with you. See you next week on Aspire. We have to learn to let go and allow life to happen through us without any judgments, without any preconceived notions, just allowing life to be what it is.